Welcome on in, Heat fans. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. If you guys could subscribe here, subscribe also to WQAM's YouTube page. You guys can watch Tobin and Leroy every single weekday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Had a lot of fun with Leroy busting his chops, celebrating the Heat win. Also, Victor Wembanyama. I'll leave that one. Victor Wembanyama saying some pretty positive things about the Miami Heat in the aftermath of that win. Just keep an eye on that. It is a transaction day. The trade deadline has passed. Your Miami Heat did not make another move, as there was some action, not a earth shattering trade deadline day by any means whatsoever, but there was some stuff. There was some stuff that happened today, and it all started, I think, with Buddy Hield. He ends up going to the Philadelphia 76ers. They send Marcus Morris and Cork Maz to they send him to Indiana. Kelly Olynyk strangely got traded to the Toronto Raptors. I don't really understand that one. That one is weird. But they picked him up. They ended up sending a first round pick to the Jazz with Otto Porter and Kara Lewis. So that was a bit strange. The Oklahoma City Thunder, I think they should probably be pretty fired up. They got Gordon Hayward, even though he's always hurt. To add that kind of a presence to a team that's already pretty good, I don't see how that's going to hurt. Spencer Dinwiddie, he ended up getting traded, and then he's going to get waived, possibly going to go to the LA Lakers or some scuttle about that. Dennis Schroeder ends up on Brooklyn, as does Thaddeus Young. Thaddeus Young might be a name. Yeah, you got to check out what his status is on salary. He makes $8 million, so he's in the wheelhouse. Thaddeus Young might be one that's possibly there for the Miami Heat. One trade that I thought was pretty perky, that I was like, PJ Washington goes to Dallas in exchange for Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and a first-round pick. Royce O'Neal, he ended up in Phoenix. And then that was kind of it for like the major moves. But the one move I said today that I thought, all right, I could tip a cap and say that was a really good pickup for that team, and it pains me to say it was the New York Knicks getting Bojan Bogdanovic. I was like, damn, that's pretty good for their team right there to add that kind of a shooting. We've seen Bogdanovic have some killer games against the Miami Heat, so New York continues to have a really, really great trade deadline. Got themselves better with the OG Anunoby pick. Now they end up with Bogdanovic. So, although I did see some reports that said like OG Anunoby's health status has them a little bit scared, and so this is kind of their insurance policy, because you didn't want to be left in the dust of, oh man, we lost our star pick in our star acquisition in OG Anunoby, so we're done there now. But I got to give it up to the Knicks. I thought that was a nice pickup for them for what they gave up, and certainly I think makes them better. The most hilarious thing to me that happened today was the Milwaukee Bucks getting Patrick Beverley, because it really does feel like the Milwaukee Bucks are doing everything in their power to either alienate or just rub it in the nose of Damian Lillard. Like, you're here and you're forced to be here, and you're not going to get the shots at the end, and we know you're not that happy, and we're going to change the coach, and we're gonna have all this unrest, and everybody's going to call you washed every other night. And Patrick Beverley is your number one rival. It was hilarious that he had to put out a statement. Chris Haynes has to come out for Damian Lillard, and he has to be like, "There are not many players who bring it on a nightly basis like him. I look forward to working together. Our past personal issues don't trump an opportunity to win a championship." But if you are Damian Lillard and you are thinking about, man, people get to go where they normally want to go. I wanted to be on the Miami Heat, and now I'm in this situation where the team that I got traded to trades for one of my rivals. Not the first time this happened. This happened, I think, with Russell Westbrook on the Lakers. But yeah, Patrick Beverley's a pain in the ass. A lot of people don't like playing with him, and we'll see what ends up happening there. But I was howling with laughter at that, because it's like, really, like, do you guys like having Damian Lillard? It seems like you guys just like to agitate him. So give it up to the Knicks. Bucks don't know what you're doing there. That's a little bit weird. They also traded Robin Lopez. Just got rid of him. See ya, Robin. And that was it for the trades. I think I got everyone that was pretty major. So as far as the buyout market is concerned, PJ Tucker is not going to come to a buyout. Apparently, he is going to stick with the Clippers. And there's an interesting thing this year. I was not aware of this. I did not know that there is a certain threshold guys can be out on a buyout. I thought once you're bought out, you're bought out. You can go to wherever you want to go. But the Heat can't sign anybody. I think Barry Jackson wrote they can't sign anybody, or maybe it was Anthony Chang, who salary pre-cut is over like $12.5 million. And it was one of those where 12.4 is what Anthony writes. So like, for example, Spencer Dinwiddie, not eligible to be signed by the Heat because his salary is above 12.4. Thaddeus Young could because his is at $8 million a year. So those are you got to look at the salary. You can't just be like a Marcus Morris, not eligible. Marcus Morris, his salary right now is for the season, if he were to get bought out, is like 16 a year, 17 million. So he can't get bought out, or he can't get picked up by the Heat if he gets bought out. So you got to keep that in mind. Like the Heat aren't just able to go and get anybody that they want, even if they just become available on the buyout market. That also being said, I don't really know if a lot of the names even tickled my fancy that much. I like the Heat's rotation. I know this is kind of going to probably annoy Heat fans because I'm going to sound like a homer, but I didn't even see with even if you told me PJ Tucker could have been here for nothing, I would have been like, yeah, but he's old and kind of broke down at the end of his last Heat playoff run where he was really, really good for Miami most of that year and really important when Bam was hurt. I could take it or leave it. Kelly Olynyk, I guess, what is he at? Kelly O is at 12-2, so I suppose he is eligible if he were to get bought out. But, homecoming for him, he gets to go to Canada. Maybe he's going to enjoy that. I don't know. I'm not the biggest Kelly O guy in the world. Victor Oladipo just got waived by the Grizzlies. Could you see that being a direction? I don't know. Maybe just as an insurance policy because you can't really play Drew Smith. That could be a direction that they go. But look, we can't sit here and say the Heat did nothing. They went and got Terry Rozier. That was a significant move that they made. You can say whether you like it or not, or that was the best that they could do, but I think that you've definitely seen a speed difference with Terry Rozier on this team. They were getting nothing from Kyle Lowry at the point that he was let go. And we'll get to Kyle Lowry here in just a second. But this was not an uneventful trade season for the Miami Heat. They went and they got a guy in Terry Rozier who is not like he's coming in here and he's right off the books next year. Like, they had to invest some money in Terry Rozier. He has a couple of years after this year invested in him. So they got $50 more million guaranteed in him after this year. And they went and, got Kyle Lowry off the books. It was a valuable asset as far as expiring deal. But I think that was, pretty good in respect to the position you needed to bump in, what your need was as far as just some offensive punch, and just his desire to be here too. It seems like it's been a pretty decent fit. And I do think that him and Tyler are really meshing well together, I think immediately with Bam. So I think the Heat did make a good trade acquisition this year. I know it was a couple of weeks ago, but it's not like they did nothing. And I just think that for the Heat fan that was expecting something else, what else would you have expected? You have to look at the assets that they would have had. All right, so Caleb Martin, you're just going to keep Caleb Martin, let him off for nothing? Yeah, he makes $7 million. Who are you going to get for him? What are you going to get? Some late first-round talent that is a few years in that you think is going to fit right in and Eric Spoelstra is going to trust him? I don't know what the move is that everybody expects. They're not going to trade Tyler Hero during the season. The thing I've been telling guys, the only thing that would have been whoa, is if you would have meshed something like Duncan Robinson, some salary with, and you would have started attaching like Jaime and Jovic. But like, guys, look at the guys who got moved at the deadline. Like DeJounte Murray did not get moved. No real star got moved. So I'm just scrambling to think like what the Heat fan is really bothered by. And I don't know, sometimes Heat Twitter has become a real bad echo chamber of like what I should be like, because everything is Pat's asleep, wake up, old man. And 1, they just made a trade. 2, they just got healthy. 3, they have an incredible rookie who's in their rotation this year. Bam was just saying a couple things. He thinks they're better than they were last year. I don't know. I think that if you were going to say, like, what is the purity, you could always use a little bit more size that you're going to actually rely upon because, Thomas Bryant, I don't think anybody looks at Thomas Bryant and is like, oh, man. But you have Thomas Bryant, Orlando Robinson, Nikola Jovic. None of them really factor in the rotation. Kevin Love is hit or miss. So, yeah, you could have looked in something. Maybe they will beef up a little bit more with somebody. But PJ Tucker, like that's the way some people wanted to go. Nah, not me. And, shooting. Joe Harris is another guy that got waived, by the way. He makes too much money. You can't go get Joe Harris. So I think that you're looking at this and you're like, well, if shooting gets really bad, I guess the Heat are kind of hopeful that like Cole Swider like comes through, but I don't know. I just looked at the assets that the Heat had, the Kyle Lowry contract getting moved. I just didn't think anything was going to happen. I didn't have this feeling like anything was close. I didn't even think that there was many discussions. This isn't a very exciting trade deadline. Deadline day. I mean, everybody's kind of in there. Siakam got moved, Anunoby got moved, Terry Rozier got moved. And that was the real stuff. It's funny. The Lakers put out a statement that was like, they were like, the Lakers put out something to the effect of, we're going to stick with this team. And, we look forward to a summer where we have 3 first-round picks to make moves and all that. I thought that was funny that they were basically throwing up the, we can't do anything right now, but wait till you see what we can do. So a pretty uneventful trade. The only thing for me of interest with as far as a rival's concerned and a name that we know is Kyle Lowry. Now, Kyle Lowry, this is pretty obvious to me, but the Sixers made a move to allow themselves to do a buyout. Everybody seems to think this is lining up for them to get Kyle Lowry on their team. Kyle Lowry is a Philadelphia native. Villanova, very, very obvious connection there. It's just, I guess, upon him, he's got to negotiate the buyout and what he wants to do with the Charlotte Hornets. Guys, I got to tell you, there might be a moment in a series where Kyle Lowry is doing some really great things. We all saw him by the end. Like, that dude was not an offensive threat anymore. He's very, very shy to shoot. Probably has the perfect guy next to him in Maxey if he is going to be put right in that starting lineup. Obviously has a relationship with the head coach and Nick Nurse, won a championship with him. And it is probably the place for him that works because, you have 2 guys in Joel Embiid if he's healthy and Tyrese Maxey where he really doesn't have any offensive burden there. But yeah, it makes all the sense in the world that he's going to go there, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think a Heat Sixers series is going to be swung because of Kyle Lowry, or their playoff chances are going to be swung greatly because of Kyle Lowry. I'm sure there'll be moments in games where he can make some plays in the margins because Kyle Lowry is a really, really good competitive player, and he knows those little things to do, but it's not going to be like the significant boost to the Philadelphia 76ers when that deal happens. So overall, trade deadline comes and goes. Not sweating it too much. I actually just am really happy with how the team is playing right now and seeing everybody kind of come together. It's nice to see. And maybe part of me is like, it's nice seeing, like, even in this week, it's almost felt like Rozier has felt like more a part of the Heat than is just like, oh, yeah, that guy who just got here. They're playing a little bit better. He's playing a little bit better. And I think he's a little bit more comfortable because maybe when he got here, it was like, well, do I step on toes? But they were kind of saying, no, you be the. It was like Jimmy said yesterday. It was everybody felt like a bunch of individuals. Nobody knew their roles as a team, and now it does feel like the Heat know their role as a team. But if there was a move, I would look at and be like, man, the Heat are looking at somebody. You're probably looking at the Knicks. The Knicks made I think a really good move for them. They look like they're going to be an interesting out in this upcoming postseason. I think that the Knicks got something there, because I thought that in the playoffs last year. I was like, man, my thought after each playoff series was Bucks LOL and Giannis's failure isn't real. Celtics regular season paper champs as always. I say this as somebody who I hate the Knicks above all. I hate them. But I saw what Jalen Brunson did in that playoff series last year, and I was like, man, they are a piece or two away from being like, that's going to be a scary series. And I feel like that. I feel like you always got to factor for, hey, Julius Randle's going to have some kind of a meltdown out there. But the team's really, really talented. And I think that that's going to be a fun blow for blow with the Miami Heat. But, when I say, a good blow for blow, I mean, like, they'll get a blow and then the Heat will win in 5. That's what I mean.